Hi everyone, welcome to the Morning Melee podcast. I can't even talk, it's early right now. This is the show where we talk about what Melee means to us. We share stories and experiences and just love for the game. Today with me is someone so important to the NorCal Melee scene, just to like my scene. It's just really special to have you on here because, especially recently, you've been putting in a lot of work for all of that. So, NathanSandwich, welcome to the show. How are you?
Doing great. Morning. That's another thing. Good morning. It's
A little early
10
for you?
a.m. here. I feel. It's actually totally. It's actually like totally fine. Actually, I need to reset my sleep schedule anyway, so this is like a good way to do it.
Oh, there we go.
Like the first thing I thought of when it was like it's gonna be at 10 a.m. I'm like, the first thing I thought is 10 a.m. pools. It's like
just like you're running another event.
You're making me have to wake up to do 10 a.m. pools. What's wrong? What's up with this? But
definitely. I remember. We're coming off of the weekend in Oakland. We just did the town throwdown. I entered. Nathan helped a little bit with it, but you kind of just were there to enjoy it, right?
Yeah. So I mostly helped out with like the preparation for it. So
I see.
So I did most of like the seating. I did some of like the scheduling a little bit, like, you know, are we gonna have like best of 5 here, best of 5 there? I supplied 12 Wii's and 1 CRT. So like a lot of the stuff leading up to the event, I had a bit of a hand in. But most of the main brunt was like mostly like Brandon and his team mostly doing it.
Yeah, his
so
deal
I was
this
a bit
time.
more.
I remember it because why I brought that up is I remember talking to you there. I was just I just try to check in with people that are going to be on here and make sure we're all set. And I was like, yeah, you're going to be here on a Monday. And I think what you said is, I think I'll be up. I was like, oh God, he's going to be so tired.
I literally like had still some like TO work I did like all yesterday. So like I still
Sunday too.
You know, I guess the work just never stops, but
NathanSandwich puts in the hours, and we're definitely going to be talking about that, I think. One thing I did want to ask, I don't know if it was at the town throwdown or sometime before, but I thought I heard you or someone talking about how long you'd like been playing and stuff. I realized I did not know. So, like, when did you get into Melee and stuff, and how long have you been around?
I started around 7.5 years ago. So around May 2014, I found out about the competitive scene. I found out that Smashboards exists. And I made an account in late May about it, with it. And I went to I pretty much like for the entirety of like summer 2014, I just learned the basics, just how to wave dash, how to L cancel, your basic tech skill.
Yeah.
And then I found out about a tournament happening in San Francisco. It was TO'd actually by Bizzaro Flame. It was called SSBM Trial 2.
I did not know Bizzaro Flame did TO stuff.
Yeah,
that's
he
sick.
did.
Well, we're gonna have him back on eventually. I'll have to ask him about that. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Continue. Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, it was TO'd by Bizzaro Flame, and basically every big name in NorCal that was present at the time was there. So I think SFAT was there. I think PBU was there. I know Dewan was there, Shroomed. He was like one of the first notable people I knew in the community.
Still on
Brandon,
dock back then, probably, right?
This is right when he was about to switch to Sheik.
Okay.
It was like right before this tournament took place, I think a week or two before Big House 4. But long story short, a lot of the big names were there, and I got to meet them all literally at my first tournament. So I mean, I got like
that's sweet.
NorCal's finest, as we would say back in the day. NorCal's finest, basically just all right then and there, first event.
Yeah. Are you, when you would go to those kinds of things, do you think you seem very outgoing? Do you think you're like good at just meeting? Because you say you meet all these top players. Did you just go talk to them and like hang out and stuff, or?
I think really like I just kind of get I guess just you get comfortable after like just years of being in the community.
Yeah.
And my general approach is really because like everyone I think has like sort of the fanboy state when they see like someone that's like a big name or whatever.
I have struggled with
And
this.
but I think like the main thing is that they're still human beings at the end of the day. So if you just treat them like a human being, then that sort of is like the icebreaker, if you
Mm.
will. I mean, like I still have my fanboy state as well, fanboy state as well, especially at my first couple events. But the main thing I thought to myself, anti-rock, I'm gonna bring this story up, is you know, I met Kobe Bryant at a grocery store when I was like 13,
Oh
and
my god.
he was literally at a grocery store, and you know, we just shook his hand and everything like that, you know, and we just treat him just like just a regular guy. He was
He's
just
gotta get
in line at
groceries
a grocery
too.
store. So it's like I just treat that similar sort of mindset, if you will. It's like, you're human, you're good at the craft that you do, and I carried that into Melee. So as I just kind of got more comfortable in the community, because I was still very reserved and shy. I'd say in the post-COVID, I'm still a bit reserved and shy now. I'm still not as like comfortable as I usually am at tournaments yet, because just we're all socially deprived. But like in the grand scheme of things, I just try to just talk to people and just treat them as a person more than anything.
Yeah.
Not
definitely.
so much like this larger in life figure.
Yeah, I think the reason I ask is because I don't know who I was talking to. Again, just at Town Throwdown, I was just chatting with so many guys. But just the fact that I went to maybe 2 or 3 like bigger events. I think 1 regional and 2 Genesis tournaments, and I don't feel like they were wasted, but I just think I could have done a lot more. Like because Town Throwdown, like it was like, if you guys weren't there, didn't know, anyone listening, it was like in this theater. There was like 2 stories up on a mezzanine, and it was like looked super sick.
Loved it.
Just such a cool event. Yes, super awesome place in Oakland. I don't know if it was downtown or what. I don't know the area, but just a dope ass venue, and I was the most comfortable there I think I've been at a tournament like ever.
Nice.
I just felt like those first big ones that I went to, I was young. I was like 16 and stuff, so I didn't really know what I was doing, but I felt like I wasted some of it, when I could have talked to cooler people, or could have like hung out with people, stayed longer. Yeah, I just think I'm finally understanding the tournament experience. After like 4 years of going to big stuff, like now I actually know how to do it correctly and enjoy myself the maximum amount. It seems like you did that pretty early on though, so that's awesome. At least with reaching out to people,
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's a process more than anything. Like,
different for everybody, of course, but
sometimes it's like almost like an amusement park in a sense. Like it's like an attraction sometimes. Obviously you have the tournament itself, and the bracket, who you're playing, what matches you have. So you like have that as well. But then you have like the general environment of like the tournament. In this case, movie theater. Very. I think aesthetically, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't think that's, the last time I can think of that being done was, I think, a SoCal Smash 4 tournament called Falcon Punch Fridays, or something.
dude, the
Did that.
things you know about tournaments. Why do you know that was at a movie theater?
I find random things.
Yeah. The knowledge. Specifically about Town Throwdown, you might have seen, I just retweeted something this morning of yours, but I thought it was super interesting how that all started. Do you want to just like tell that story really quick?
Yeah, sure. So Xavier, I feel bad if I botch his name. It's like Hanoyasha or Hanoyasha. I feel bad if I botch your name, Xavier. So, he like made a post in the Melee Falcon Discord, just like, is there like a Bay Area tournament, or like a Bay Area Discord server I can join, and I later found out that he was actually Space Pigeon's housemate, actually.
Oh,
So
oh yeah, because yeah, Space Pigeon was telling me when we were there.
yeah, so Space Pigeon's housemate, Xavier, he goes and like he's like, yeah, is there a server or something like that? And I actually misread it at first. I just saw the words East Bay, and I go to college at Cal State East Bay, so that's like a trigger word for me. I'm just like
Yeah.
East Bay, and I'm like, and there's like an East Bay Discord server that's a bit more Ultimate focused. I'm like, there is an East Bay server, but it's more Ultimate focused. But then, like, I read it again. I'm like, oh shoot, yeah, never mind. There is like a NorCal Melee server. I completely, I almost fumbled the bag. I almost fumbled the bag there. So I got him into the server. I told him like, yeah, you can post it in IRL tourneys, see what kind of interest it gains, and that thing blew up. When like C4D, I remember, was one of the first few people that I said commented on it.
Yeah.
I think you commented on it. I could be wrong, but there were a lot of people that just really interested. And like, I was about to start Rollback Rumble NA East with Brandon, that weekend, and I was like, Brandon's in Oakland, and he told me a few months ago like he wants to get something started. He just needs a venue for it.
Yeah.
And then I go and I'm like,
you're just like, here's a golden opportunity. Here's your venue.
I'm like Brandon, I think you may I think we have something here, I found this venue, and he's like, this is not far from me, and I'm like, okay, Brandon, do your thing. And then like in the span of literally like, it was a week before Bemi, and then they announced it at Bemi, but legit in the span of like the Melee Falcon Discord thing happening to Bemi, that turn-on literally happened within a week. Like, this event did not even exist, like, 4 weeks ago. This was not even talked about, not even on the radar. I mean, this thing literally kind of popped up out of the blue.
It was so stacked and so cool.
Lightning in a ball.
Those kinds of behind-the-scenes, like, it's people like you making these connections, Mm-hmm. You're in the Falcon Discord because you're a Falcon enjoyer, and then you connect that to NorCal, and then you connect that to Oakland because Brandon wants to do this thing, and like, I don't know, that's just sick how it all falls into place eventually. I think all kinds of TOs do that stuff. You guys all work together to make it happen for the people. Definitely. I have talked with you before, I think plenty of times, at main stage and whatever, about your TO journey basically. And the more I think about it, it's just interesting to me. Right now I'm just contrasting in my mind like you versus Homemade Waffles, because that's like two eras of the game, like completely different groups almost. Like, well, you're not necessarily a doc kid, but you're after that, right? But
yeah, a little bit after. I mean, I'd say like 2013, 2014 was the doc kid era.
Okay, but maybe you didn't come from that exact thing, but
yeah, I watched the doc like a little bit after SSPM trial too, so like then I got more invested.
Yeah, but it's just like, it's a generational thing, the new generation of tournament organizer, like, helping the old one, like, I don't know. I think that's I think it's awesome, and it's like, I think it's a lesser, when people get into Melee, they're not like, I want to get into Melee to run tournaments specifically. Like, not many people do that, I think, and you probably know that that's the case. I guess I'm curious on, like, when your competitive drive, like your motivation to go to tournaments and stuff, when did that kind of turn into what it is now? Like, how did it turn into you TOing, wanting to help the community and do all those kinds of things?
Very good question. I mean, I would say, I've always had kind of like a small hand in TOing. I wouldn't say from the very start, but like, I always had a bit of a hand in it, but I still say that I'm like more of a competitor today, and I still have a very high drive to compete today. So like, that drive is still, very much there. I mean, I felt that way, especially after Town Throwdown on my run. But You know, like the bi-weekly tournament series we have called Phoenix Underground, in Concord. Um, I actually that started because they had a Smash 4 weekly there called Phoenix Uprising. It happened because me and my high school best friend Malcolm, who goes by the tag Rapid, some NorCal people may know him, but Malcolm and I, we actually we brought a CRT and a 20XX Melee set up there, and people were like a bit interested, you know. And then the head TO, Phoenix Uprising, Trevor, shouts to York, awesome, great TO. He was like, you know, it was like, yeah, it's okay, like it's okay, but then like they had to start, you know, doing Smash 4 stuff because I was also a Smash 4 player at the time.
Yeah.
But we like kind of struck an idea. It's like, you know, maybe there is an interest for Melee, and then lo and behold, Phoenix Underground starts. I wasn't the head TO for it, but I was definitely like, even back then as like a 16 or 17-year-old kid, I had a bit of like a small hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a small influence in getting it started, even though like the actual stuff where I took the reins of like TOing more, that didn't really start until about late 2018 when Phoenix Underground was kind of in a bit of a dry spell where entrants were low. I mean, there was a chance the tournament series would be just halted altogether in late 2018. And I pretty much, you know, promised myself, because it was the most consistent access I had to like the LAN Melee scene, which is why I enjoy it. And I just thought to myself, you know, I'm going to try to attend this as much as possible. I'm going to bring 2 CRTs each time. I'm going to bring, you know, at the time we use GameCubes, I bring 2 GameCubes each time. I'm even going to use myself as like a marketing tool, because I was starting to get pretty good at Melee around the time. And because since I'm like, you know, since you're good at the game, you can maybe draw a larger crowd. Yeah. So I was like, okay, if I have a bit of influence in that aspect, I'm going to try the best I can to attend this and just lure people in. And we just eventually, you know, in 2019, because that was the last year of the tournament series, because just the store just didn't want to do it anymore, plus COVID happened. But pretty much like just, you know, we had a great 2019. It was mainly because, you know, we just kept, you know, I consistently attended it, and I tried to advertise as much as possible.
Yeah,
to really,
and like,
you know,
I never went to one of those. I just remember seeing it like everywhere. You know, you said Phoenix Underground, and I was like, oh, that long running Concord, yeah.
It had been going on for four years when it finally died down. It had a good run.
So you were doing a good job with the marketing and stuff. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, that's sick. Just your little things like that, you can like kind of enlighten yourself of other stuff you want to be doing, I guess. Like that one, you just bring a CRT to play some Melee at the other thing, and you're like, more people want this. And I have the ability to give more people, you know, the gift of Melee, you know, if they want to start playing and enjoy it. But yeah, and then you commentate as well. I'm sure that just ties into the TOing, right? As you start doing like your own events or something, you get a stream going and you need to commentate some sets maybe yourself, and that seems like it's just kind of a natural thing, right?
I wouldn't say a natural thing. I mean, like I actually was initially a communications major in college, so I took actually some public speaking classes beforehand. So when I like translated it over to Melee, it was like, I wouldn't say it was like natural per se, but like a commentary, I'd say, is a lot of improv. A lot of times it's a lot of improv, and some of it is reacting to what's happening on the screen. Some of it is like trying to just describe the situation to get the viewers engaged on what is going on. And I think the main thing, we call it a hook. You know, you want to have it's a public speaking term. You want to hook and get the people interested and say like, why is this interesting? Why are these two players, you know, playing a video game on the screen? You know, why does this have to be entertaining? You know, you really have to stress that, because once you get them roped in, then you can start leading into other things, per se. Then you start talking about, you know, this interesting interaction right there, or maybe the environment of the tournament itself. You want to kind of get them, like, put them in this sort of setting of like, this is what it's like to to be at Town Throwdown, movie theater, two story, first land tournament back in 2 years in Oakland.
Yeah.
You have to like try to really get that across to viewers, just in my mind, to create that sort of environment and setting while you're on the mic.
Yeah, that's sweet. Is that is commentating like something you wanted to start doing as well, like with your degree, or is it something you sought out?
Well, I changed my major from communications to sociology, but I've always had just a liking for commentary. I don't know how far I would pursue it per se, but it's always something that I've just been interested in. I always have enjoyed commentary as a concept. I think there's just a lot of neat things you can do with it, and I'll even just admit myself, I just like to talk sometimes.
Hey,
so
nothing wrong with that. You knew I was right there. I took over for you at Town Throwdown, but commentary is like something I've been getting more into recently. It might be my stream. All I do is stream and play Melee and talk. Like that's what I do all the time, every day. And I get super excited basically just for all of it, for every set, all the players, stories, and I just like to point out all the crazy stuff. Maybe if people are missing it, it's hilarious because someone's trying to like provide analysis, and I'm like, "Shit! Did you see that PC drop? They did not mean to do that PC drop." It's just the stuff that my eyes will see. It's kind of silly.
And that's like the great thing is that there's so many different types more than anything, and I think that's the beauty of commentary. And for somebody that has a streamer background like you, or like even like Trey the Trash Man, it's like it's perfect, because like everyone's got their sort of own distinct style per se. Like I remember you commentated at a bar, and I was just like, I was near the comments stuff, and you were just like, oh my god, about something, and I was cracking up and laughing because it's just you're just having a good time, and that's like, to me, that's all that really matters a lot of times, is you just want to provide something entertaining, provide something fun, and for stream, for like someone, because you have a following with streaming and like Twitter and whatnot, it's a sense of familiarity in a sense. It's like, oh, I see this guy, I watch him on streams, and now here he is commentating this tournament. You just think to yourself, this is awesome. Now he's just on the mic, just doing his thing here, and you're right. Just point out those little technical things. It's like, I think it's awesome because everyone has their own approach to Melee, and they had their own bits and knowledge. To backtrack a little bit, I listened to actually your PGH Carol podcast, and I had no idea that Nana's level increased. Nana's level increased the higher percent Popo was. I never knew that.
Tiny bits of knowledge that random people have, like. Melee is so deep, no one person can have all the knowledge. There's no way at all. But I love that. That's the podcast. Literally, this podcast is just to like prod everyone's brains. Like, give me your information. I want to know more about Melee. Your Melee.
You guys steal my knowledge and then use it for a combo video. Is that the master plan here?
Yes. I will use these storylines that you are giving me from NorCal and just put them into my moves in game.
It's all just a master plot to make more combo videos at the end of the day. A genius master plan.
STC only wants one thing, and it's fucking disgusting, dude. I want to make combo videos. I remember, I believe this was main stage as well. I find you everywhere. Literally, whatever tournament I go to, because we're both in NorCal, I'll see you. And if I go to a major, you're normally just there. So I can't escape Nathan, so we always chat. I do remember one thing you said, like I think about this one constantly. I keep going back to it. we connected on how we want to compete and stuff, but we have a lot of other like aspirations, other things we want to do with Melee. And I guess I wanted to ask you about that because you were talking about how you still want to compete right now with your bracket run this weekend, and the same for me. I mean, I did better than I have in a long time at this weekend too.
Nice.
I guess I'm curious if you think your TO things, do they hold you back, or are you like, I don't know. That's a bad way to put it. That's too negative. 'Cause I don't think it holds you back. But where's your motivation for competition versus your TOing? And for me, it's like with my YouTube channel, with my other stuff. How do we balance that? You know?
It's always a balancing act, like you said. It's definitely a balancing act. With me, more than anything, to backtrack a bit, I mean, the main reason I kind of just pursued TOing a lot more, especially in the online era, because I'd say that's when the TOing stuff really kind of took off, is just in the online era. And I would say it's anything just because I hated delay-based net play. Just gonna be honest, I hated delay-based net play, and I'm just like,
didn't want to play. You're just like,
fuck this. I'm just gonna be a TO instead. And then rollback came out, and rollback has been fantastic. It's just been fantastic. Like,
yeah, still mind-boggling.
it's probably just it's such a nice convenience to have. But just for me per se, I still love the in-person interaction. So like my interest is still really high in the TO aspect because just I like being around people more than anything. So with LAN coming back, I start to kind of get in my own environment again, like my comfort zone of what I was before COVID. And, with all of the LAN events coming back, it's like this is where my drive starts to kind of ramp up again in being a competitor. And I wouldn't say, holding back is not the right word for it, but I think it's just like still a balancing act because I still enjoy the TOing aspect. I think it's great. I think it's great for the scene because there isn't really, NorCal is just starting to really, gain some momentum and had tournaments pop up again. But there's still a long ways to go to where, I have to still take a bit more of a TO role to make sure, we're all, everything's A-okay. I've had, the North Bay, was it, I'm brain frying right now. The North Bay local, I feel so bad.
Rosa Rising. New one? Yeah, Rosa Rising.
Yeah. So Niconics actually, Nico, he actually DM'd me on Discord before the first Rosa Rising, just for some advice, what resources would he need or whatever. And we had a 2-hour call, and I just gave him a rundown hey, this is how bracket flow works. You run these couple sets of winners first, and then you transition to losers, have losers catch up. Just show them lay the foundation down to where say if they were to TO a tournament, they're not just
newbie
out. Yeah, that's the thing. So making sure that there's a good foundation set, for for everybody, not just myself, because these people, when they do these things more, then they're gonna get more experience and learn to handle, maybe more issues, whether it's community issues, event issues, or whatever. They'll learn the growing pains from it, and eventually, within a few years or so, I can start to kind of take a step back a little bit because these people have some experience under the belt, and they'd be able to, maybe take a bit more bigger-ish positions because, I mean, it takes a lot out of you.
No, definitely. And you're not only doing all this for the scene, but you're making sure that if you take a step back, the scene's not just going to crumble apart,
And that's the main thing. A nice house, this is something an old school Melee player by the name of Lucian told me back in 2015. A nice house will collapse under a shitty foundation. And that's the main thing. You want to build a good foundation. And, if you have a shitty foundation, that thing is just going to fall. It's going to collapse. You have to really make sure it's well structured to where people know where to go, with a Discord server or, when events are happening or whatever. You have to make sure, the region and just, everybody is just on the same page. just like I wouldn't say at all times, but like really like consistently just on the same page or roughly around it, because otherwise people won't even know that there was a tournament in Santa Rosa, or they didn't even know that there was a tournament in Concord.
Yeah.
You got to make sure people know these things and what etiquette and what to expect at events and stuff like that.
And I see you doing that, right? Because I don't know when it was now, but maybe early this year, January or something, or late last year, but with the NorCal Melee Discord, because it was around, but it was just basically dead. It wasn't very organized as much, and that seems like I guess I do need to ask what made you want to do that, because of course you want to do stuff for the community, but I'm curious what made you want to revamp it so much, because just as a person from NorCal, what I experienced was like all of a sudden you're just posting everywhere and you're like, NorCal Melee Discord is freaking back and everyone's here and we're doing this, and like what made you just want to lay this foundation again and be like, here's a reset button, we're just gonna like start NorCal up again?
Well, the main thing, a great lead-in, but like, more than anything, it's like Facebook is kind of obsolete in a sense. Like, people still use Facebook. I think it still has a place, but it's not as like prevalent today as it was like back in 2015, 2016.
And that's where I would find most of the NorCal stuff on Facebook, and I'd be like, I don't understand why why it's on there, right? Well, at least for a kid, a child like myself.
Hey, I'm only a couple years older than you, man. But more than anything, like, Discord is like more just like instant in a lot of ways. It's more direct, and I like thought to myself, like, since we were using Discord for so many big events, and a lot of this actually is inspired by Jade in a lot of ways, and Jade, they would usually lay down the Discord structure for most of the big tournaments, like, I think they do it for all the the rollback. They did it for like the original back when it was called Rona Rumble. They did that. The Gallant Melee Opens you saw. They played for Palestine. They did that. Rollback on the big one. And it's interesting that I bring this up because I'm gonna bring up the Melee Falcon Discord here. Is the matchup channel Discord structure, actually, because I've been a moderator there since late 2016. I was actually the person that suggested that, because when I was in Smash 4 servers, they just had one versus matchups channel. And for Smash 4, you have a game where you have like 50 characters. That's just going to get so cluttered, and it's going to be so disorganized.
Yeah.
So, like, and the reason I bring that up is, when we did the matchup channel for the Melee Falcon Discord and, like, the mentality channel and stuff like that, it's almost like applications and uses, for, like, people. It's like, oh, for Fox-specific questions versus Fox-specific questions, I can ask here. But to get back to my point, when I saw Jade's, like, Discord structure and workflow, it was pretty similar to how I envisioned the Melee Falcon Discord, except in TO form. And so when LAN was starting to come back, it's like, what if we did something like this for, like, LAN? Let's make this transition to go from the Facebook group to Discord, and let's slowly make that transition. So I thought, what would be important and valuable? So the first thing is, I think you should distinguish the online tourneys and the IRL tourneys, because I think online still has a place and value. And people need to know that online still exists. It's not going to die anytime soon. Thank you, Fizzy, for that. Carpool channel, housing. Say somebody's visiting NorCal, they need housing. A net play channel to people to paying, like, just so on and so forth. And then you'd have like roles, like area code roles, like, have it very fleshed out to where, like, say you're from a certain area and you want to ping a certain role, like area code to play or a city to play. It's just right then and there. You have to think in like the big picture in a lot of ways. And it took about a month to overhaul, but more than anything, it's just, it really hit home with me with Town Throwdown, seeing so many people use the carpool channel. It's like,
it's working.
It's like it worked. because I was really concerned about it at first when COVID. It's like, is this gonna ever be used? But it's like a reassurance of it. It's like, it's working. It's just really lay this down so people know what's up and also where to go and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's so sweet. And like, speaking as someone who has reaped the benefits of this without without doing anything for the disc. I mean, I help out with a lot of things where I can, but this was just so nice. I mean, I just popped in the channel and I'm there, and I just get to hang out in this sweet Discord now, and the community is thriving in there, and at all the locals everywhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like, I mean, recently when I think about NorCal, I don't know what, like the two people, I guess, in NorCal that I think of are you and Brandon now, for like the people of the scene, right?
Thank you. That means a lot.
Well, I mean, you've earned it at this point. It is amazing what you guys have done. I think we could shift gears here for a second, because we've covered a ton of your TO stuff, which is most of what I was wanting to talk about today. But also, let's get into some Melee. I'm curious. You're also a Falcon enjoyer. We both hail from the Falcon Discord.
Yes, we're all Falcon.
We play pretty differently. We've did it a bunch of times. I guess I will just start with who are your. I want to start with why did you pick Falcon when you started? And were you Smash 4 first? Did you or kind of both?
Question. So I was actually I was Melee first. Around when I joined the communities when Smash 4 was like about to come out. Smash 4 I think came out. The 3DS came out in October 2014, and then the Wii U version came out in November 2014. But I was always like Melee first. I started out as like a Mario main because he was the easiest character to wave dash with. And then I always just kind of had a liking for Falcon. I watched the combo video. It takes guts to be amazing. And that was like my first introduction. By? Usurper King Zant, I believe.
Oh, yes.
His name. And I saw clips of Scar. Bobby Scar. There were so many clips of Bobby Scar, and it's like, who is this guy Scar? He's doing all the Scar jumps. Doing all this crazy stuff. There's the famous clip of him. He tech chases a Cactuar, and he down throw reverse drop zone knees him. It stage spikes him, and then Scar stomps him. And I saw that, and I'm like, whoa, you could do that in this game? I'm just like, that is the sickest thing in the world. And then there's like this clip of him, he does like just a full jump knee, and then he double D's him again, and then he gets
Ultimate
a triple knee.
Scout.
Yeah, the Ultimate Scout clip.
That's one of my favorite clips of all time. And literally,
I love that clip.
I know that's from way back, but that is one of the only neutral options I have now. I have like three. I have Waveland on platform, dash dance nair, or full hop knee, and those are the only three things I do. But if you jump out of the corner, you're freaking screwed. I just envision like you're in the game, you just see this rising knee, it just hits you right in the face. You're just like, oh. It's so satisfying to hit those kinds of openings though. Anyway, I'm interrupting you. So this is why you chose Falcon. That's sweet. And you started competing with him initially. Besides Scar, was there anyone you were looking up to for your competition? Were you like studying sets of any higher level Falcons or?
Say like mostly I was inspired by Scar for now, but then I found out about like Isaiah and stuff like that later on. I watched like a documentary, and then but then I met Bob Money in 2015, and it's interesting how it came about. So I was like struggling with the Marth matchup at the time, and Bob Money was like, he told me just like here are the basics. It's like knee, raptor boost, and dash dance grab. And he said, just watch Ken versus Isaiah, the most three. And that set, it's one of the most iconic sets in Melee. But just if you actually watch the footage, there's so many things that Isaiah did was so great. Like, he would use knee to trade, and that was like one of the first times I really saw someone using knee to trade like that. And I thought that was such an interesting concept, is that I have a stronger move than you, and you may have a weaker move. I'm just gonna use this move and I'm gonna trade. I'm gonna take the hit, but it's a bigger reward for me.
Yeah.
So I treat knee in a lot of ways like a longer startup nair in a lot of ways, and just use it as a weapon. And just since then, I'd watch more videos of Isaiah, and I'm just like, dude, he really was, like, everyone talks about like the mystique of Isaiah, but from actually watching his footage, he actually was just that good. He was actually so far ahead of his time. I saw like a tweet from Kilo RR recently where he went to the nightclub in New York, and he said, dude, everybody plays like prime 2005 Isaiah. And it's like, dang, that's actually such a big influence that, like, that's the floor now. But that was like, Isaiah was doing this stuff back in like 2004 and 5. It's like, it's insane.
Yeah, that makes me want to go watch some, because I've heard so many things about old school other stuff. Of course, I've seen tons of it, famous clips and all that. But at least for me, it seems easier for you to like notice these things, because at least for my Melee eyes, I wouldn't. It's harder for me to understand what people are going for, back then in like 2005, because the tech skill wasn't there. I'm just like, it's slow. Why would I watch that? That's what I tell myself, and it's not anything personal. It's just, I think I always talk about maturing in Melee.
It was a different time.
Yeah,
it's a different time. It's a different era. Different things worked.
And as I age, as I grow with the game, I can appreciate the other eras more. So you're making me want to watch some Isaiah after this. I might.
Definitely should.
And I'm not sure. I'm wondering who your best wins are, because as far as like Falcons that are like a threat, I'm not sure if many people think of you, and I feel like they should, because well, you got like right now you have Mech, you have Salt, Android Zero was around. I'm not sure if he changed his tag or if
it's now Suff. Now Suff.
Okay, so Suff, and you've got JoJo. I don't know, but it just seems
JoJo's
like
JoJo's.
It's messed up. I don't even want.
I love JoJo. Anyways,
I just feel like people don't put Nathan on the list, and I'm always wondering, like, you should be scared of this guy. Who are some of your best wins though?
I've beaten Umar 3 times. I've beaten him once in 2019, and then twice in 2020. I almost beat him at Town Throwdown. Lost game 3, last hit, last stock, 2-1.
Oh, there's why you're having your competitive drive a ton, right?
I'm like, literally pushed a top 100 caliber player to the brink. But I guess, and so there's that. I've beaten Curve. I've beaten Poppy twice. I've beaten Aklo's Link, reverse 3-0'd his Link, actually.
I would say that's equally as impressive as the Fox, dude. I don't know that matchup at all.
But there's that. I've beaten Justice. I think I have a lifetime record of 4-1 on Justice.
Oh my god.
I've beaten Space Pigeon multiple times. I've beaten Depp, who was ranked in NorCal. I've beaten Blarg multiple times. Blarg and I have gone back and forth in sets constantly.
He seems like just I was saying this on commentary at tournament this weekend, but he feels like just like a North-based staple. NorCal staple player, like Blarg, right? Has been here so long.
Blarg he's been around as long as me. He's great.
Been PR'd, forever.
Actually, not PR'd yet, but he'll probably be PR'd.
Okay. Yeah.
But he's just been up there. He's great. But it's like some of the list, But that's like kind of the general rundown. I try not to think too much about the wins. I just try to just
Yeah.
keep competing, just trying to be better. It's one thing I have to always remind myself. It's not the tunnel vision on that.
Yeah, you can't just say, these are my wins, this is how good I am.
Mm-hmm.
um, you seem like more of an analytical player to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's coming from, I don't know, maybe one of the stupidest neutral games in mind. No, I think I don't give myself enough credit sometimes, I think. But you seem like you always have like a game plan. We've talked before, like after your sets and stuff. Do you think you go against like players more specifically? Do you research players or do you research like characters? What do you focus on more? Or do you just balance
both.
it? Mm-hmm.
It's a bit of both. It's a balancing act more than anything. It's ironic that you say that because I actually just completed I'm gonna grab it real quick.
Yeah, sure.
I actually just finished my first I actually a notebook of like these notes right here. These notes have been around since I started in like November 2017, wow. And I just completed it. This entire, I think, 120-page notebook. And this notebook is just like a bunch of just a bunch of processes, if you will, like it's stuff from like 2018, 2019, like something I took from there's a video from Armada in like 2018 called "Learning How to Learn," and there's something I call it the Armada Wheel. I don't know if you can see it, but like I literally wrote it out. I don't know if the camera can see it or not, but I literally had like it's like playing the game, analyzing it, implementing it, experiment with it. I basically just, I try to repeat this concept constantly. It's one of my favorite concepts that's just ever been considered. I think it's a good way. So, and I call it ERTA, experience, reflect, think, apply. And I just try to apply that in many different aspects. And more than anything, it's helped me in a lot of ways because main stage was my first at a region tournament. And the first thing that came to mind, mainly when I played Asashi, is, I'm a sports fan as well, and, you're going to be in a away team sometimes, is I'm like, okay, I'm going to be in quote-unquote hostile environment. I'm probably going to be cheering and heckle against, they're going to cheer for their boy. So I mentally prepared at main stage specifically to where, okay, I'm going to be cheered against. I'm going to be, kind of the away guy per se. Let's, really zone in. And, I unfortunately didn't beat Asashi, but it's like if you win and like can beat them on their turf, you can hear nothing but dead silence, and it's the favorite silence in the world because it's like they're cheering for their boy. Yeah. You just beat him. It's like it's one of the most satisfying feelings. But I would like write that type of stuff down, so it's like come to expect it. And like the one thing I thought about with Town Throwdown was, first time I've done a LAN event since main stage, so it's like, okay, I'm not going to expect too much. If I do well, great. If I do bad, it's okay. I think it did all right, at least to my standard, I think. I'm pretty proud. I'm pretty proud of like the ceiling I have, and also the mental fortitude I showed in both of my losses, or actually just the entire bracket run. Like I try to think of things in like the big picture, but I'm trying to remember not to write too many notes because you can get overwhelmed a lot of times because your brain just can't process everything. Yeah. So I think in a lot of ways, I have mantras, if you will. So like
like ERTA kind of.
Yeah, kind of like ERTA, and then another thing and then I'd have something like I want to get back and be more consistent with tech chasing. So I'd write this dumb mantra. It's like Return of the Tech Chaser, something like that. Just something just to crack into my mind. So when I actually like play in tournament, I'm very familiar. I'm like in the zone, and just it'll be something random that pops in my head that makes me comfortable. Like I've been listening to the Risk of Rain soundtrack because I've been playing Risk of Rain recently, and I just had the Risk of Rain soundtrack just playing in my head, even though I'm not having headphones in. Just to keep me calm and like in a workspace. Like I'll have the weirdest things that'll just keep me calm in that setting.
I just pictured you like you get a grab and bracket, and I picture your opponent looking at you because you start going Return of the Tech Chase, Return of the Tech Chase with every single grab, just Return of the Tech Chase. That'd be terrifying.
Yeah.
That's a good way to keep yourself in the game, though. I think little things that distract me are huge in bracket. If my mind wanders just a little bit, it's always bad news for me being victorious. It sounds like it didn't happen at the town throwdown. I think when it comes to consistency has always been my weakness. I think, but that's because this time I wanted to put on a show. I did throw a game away. There was 4 people sitting behind me watching my set, man. It wasn't for the fans. It was for the fans. It was to get top 25 or top 24. I got 25th, and I was doing like a 2-stock comeback against this fox. I was return to the tech chasing him. Got the first kill, and then I got him off stage again. He was at like 70, and I was like, yes! And I went to go and like trade a knee with Firefox and whiffed.
If it was for the fans, it's still a victory, I guess. You lost the battle, but you won the war. You won the war.
I'm still debating if it was a good decision or not. But I lost the game. I lost the game, and I was at like 10%. You know, it felt horrible. And I turned to the 4 guys behind me, and I was just like, worth. Or I was like, I regret nothing.
It's like you pull down the shirt and you're just like, no regrets. That's what you were that just then.
I don't. I think the farther away I get from that set, I'm starting to have a little bit though, just a little regret.
So there is regrets.
Yes. I bring that up though because I think your consistency is something more of a force to be reckoned with than mine. I think, right? Your with your play style.
Thank you for that compliment, but I'd say like, I mean, I'd still say like at least to my standard, like my floor, like my consistency as well. At least to my standards, it's still a bit off. Like I try to think of it as like there's a floor and there's a ceiling, and right now after Town Throwdown, my first thought is my ceiling is incredibly high. I think my ceiling is incredibly high, especially with how well I played against Umar, despite not entering a LAN tournament in a long time, and almost beating a bracket team of mine, JMaps. JMaps beat me 3-2. Some people may have thought of that as an upset, but believe it or not, JMaps has always beaten me in tournament. In case no people are wondering, and props to him.
Both got bopped by the Samuses, dude.
He's good. That's all I gotta say. JMaps is very good, and I was like a bit down most of the set, but I was proud of the fact that I managed to keep it and bring it all the way to like game 5 last stock, despite me thinking, I was a little unstable, like just, off my footing, off my balance at times, I was really proud of that. Yeah, I'm a bit bummed I lost the set, just it sucks, losing sucks, but I was proud of the fact that I really, I had to make him work for it. It's like, I didn't just, get beat and crumble, I fought until the very end, and more than anything, it shows character that you're down to to handle that type of adversity and almost prevail, and those sort of things, like it's where the losses are actually beneficial, because it's like character development. You'll learn to handle those difficult situations, like reverse 3-0ing somebody, dealing with a quote unquote degenerate or polarizing gameplay thing that's going on. You have the mental capacity to deal with that more than anything.
You have to build it. That's hard for me, is the when people have a very obviously annoying game plan. Which is fine. They know how to shut down my characters, and that's great. Good job. Like, honestly, good job. But that's something that I struggle with. And because, like, for me, I think I'm consistent, like, or at least near my peak when I'm having fun. I think that's when I play my best Melee. Probably for most of us. Either that or some kind of, like, in the zone, if you're more intense about your competition. But I need to be so peak performance mentality to deal with some of those things. And I guess I just want to punish super hard for it,
Yeah.
'Cause, like, like, for example, we would probably deal with full hop nair from Fox differently. I think, well, I don't do this all the time, but I'm pretty sure how my brain works when people have these kinds of things that they just kind of spam at me that's like hard to deal with, is I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get you for that. And when I do, I want it to kill and I want it to feel so bad. Like, and that's why I full hop knee when foxes are spamming full hop nair. And it hits like 1 out of 10 times, but I just want it to hit so hard, I think. And that might be something holding me back, though, because there's plenty of other safer, better options to deal with it.
I'm just thinking in the back of my mind, like, you're just like, I'm gonna get you. And that's the first thing. I'm so glad you brought that up. But I mean, like, everyone, like you said, everybody has their different approach more than anything. Everyone has their own different approach on how they handle situations. Like, every time I watch Space Pigeon, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I never would have thought of that. Like, I think his wave one stuff on the platform is like really good. That's something I will admit I don't do too often. Or some of the stuff you do, with the teeter cancels. We've talked about teeter cancels a bit.
Mm-hmm.
You're very much into that sort of like technical crazy movement stuff. And I guess the beauty of it is that like it works in its own way. Like, your way of working, it still works, but it's also so drastically different from maybe my way of trying to get stuff to work, or Space Pigeon's way to work.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different ways per se. I guess that's like, you can express yourself differently in Melee a lot of times, and that's just what makes the game great. Is my way of thinking and what works can be different to yours, but it's beneficial in their own way, and we can just kind of take bits and pieces from one another, and kind of we mesh and find our own breed and our own style.
The information and inspiration's everywhere. You just take it, bend it, do what you want with it. With you talking about Space Pigeon, it made me think of a fun question. I'm just curious. So I'm trying to think about all the Falcons in NorCal. I'm sure you can help me with this.
Mm-hmm.
Besides BU, Space Pigeon, there's NFW.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's active anymore, but Weed Lord.
Yeah, Weed Lord hasn't shown up to events since like early 2020.
Niconics, of course.
Yep, Nico.
Who else? Who am I missing?
Kleps.
Kleps I played at Town Throwdown.
Yep, Kleps.
Scary set. He was good.
Burt Bus Driver still plays Falcon.
Mm.
OG Falcon. I'm trying to think, like, the Falcons kind of became scarce. Salty Sam, kind of a newer-ish Falcon. I remember Salty Sam.
I guess what I was thinking though is I want your as a seeding veteran, as a veteran of NorCal. I'm curious what you think the future of Falcon and NorCal is.
That's a big question.
No, well, I'm not asking you to predict the future. I just think it's fun to think about, with so many of us improving like this.
It's hard. The future's unpredictable, in a lot of ways, we'll see. I guess just my best answer is we'll see. I think, a lot of players are starting to come to their own. I think Space Pigeon really is starting to come to his own after being in a bit of a character crisis. So he's had to come to his own.
He's main to everybody.
Nick M. Whittier, NMW is.
He's just now.
I think he's fully transitioned to box to where he's about
sweet
where Nick was, where he was on controller.
He was telling me, like, it's matchup specific. He was like, versus Fox, it's about the same, but versus Marth, it's like,
Yeah. So like, he's getting there. I'm kind of just doing my own thing. You know, I'm just, I think I'm getting there, especially after Tom Thorne and I feel pretty good about it. It's like, there's still a lot left in the tank. You obviously are coming together yourself. I think you're fantastic in what you do as well. Niconics is coming together.
Okay, I will say first and foremost, of any of the NorCal Falcons to be in my bracket, I'm most scared of Nico. every time because I don't know what he's doing the entire set.
He's terrifying.
He's so
I've played
fast.
him.
Like you guys could force stock me, and I at least understand what's going on and what I need to change. But Nico, I have zero idea.
Dude's a beast. You know, I would play net play exhibition sets with them, and like he's beaten me in some of them, and I'm just like, this guy is like terrifying. You know, I can't wait for him just to continue to get better and better. I think it's gonna continue to take a bit of time, but he is just. I'm excited to see where he goes in particular. We always talk about it's like hold forward, and he's like hold forward, you know, because I just think of him as just Mr. Hold Forward. You know, he's just gonna be all over you at all times, but it's just, you know, it's terrifying because it's like, oh man, you know, it's like if he's in your face, you know, that's terrifying. You're gonna have to find a way to scrap him out or keep him out of it.
That's his mindset too. Well, I'll be playing a friendly sitting next to him, and I'm 3 stocks up, and he. Like I'll like kill him or something, and he just goes, winnable, still winnable, and he just like keeps and he keeps holding forward at you, and you're like, oh my god!
It's like, he's just relentless. He's not gonna stop.
He never does.
It's like you can't take your foot off the gas against this guy.
All right, well, we are coming up to the end here. It's been a lovely time. Is there anything you want to shout out? Any last words for everyone listening right now?
Say actually one thing I do want to say is enjoy your Falcon. Actually, it's so funny. I've only said this I think 1 or 2 other times, but you remind me so much of somebody I actually played Falcon against when I was in high school, and he went to my high school. His name is Nolan. He went by the tag Nolo, and I swear to God, he literally was just like you. He would do all these moonwalks and wavelands. He played Blue Falcon as well.
Wow.
He was just, it was so funny. So like when I saw how you played, I just think to myself, this is literally just like. Another Nolan on steroids, and it's like it's so cool to see you just continue just to progress, because I just think to myself, it's like, you know, Nolan would absolutely love how you play. He would absolutely love it. You know, it's so neat to see, because he was one of the reasons I picked up Falcon in the first place as well, because we had like this, because his older brother Jason, who's one of my closest friends today, he also played Falcon, and he would sacred combo me on a consistent basis. So like their styles were just absolutely crazy. So whenever I see you do something, I'm just like, you know, I just think I get a little bit of a Jason and a Nolan inside me whenever I see you play, because I'm just like, you know, it's awesome to see that. You know, I wanted to tell you that because it's so neat to see that, you know, I have not seen, you know, a Falcon like that in a long time. It's just, you know, I always admire that, and you always are trying to be creative and inventive and all that. So it's just, you know, that's the first thing I want to say, is that, you know, just you continue to do you, and just, you know, I admire and appreciate what you do.
Well, thank you. Means a lot. And I will keep my eyes peeled for a Blue Falcon named Nolan.
Yeah.
If I ever find him somewhere.
He doesn't really play much nowadays. I think he plays Brawlhalla mostly. He kind of just plays whenever, but
yeah,
I just really wanted to say that because, you know, I just think of Nolan whenever I see you. I'm just like, man, you know,
yeah,
Nolan would absolutely love this, but you know, definitely just a shout out to you. A shout out to Brandon. You know, I think what more needs to be said about the guy.
Yeah.
You've been around forever. I appreciate his contribution to the scene, because he's kind of right now, he's playing sort of like this bridge. I'm kind of calling it like he's the bridge between the old guard and the new guard.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
he
has the
connection.
Yeah, he has the connections to like your Scar and Toast, you know, kind of the bigger names, because he's known them for God knows how long. But he also is like in touch with, you know, me, you, Jade, the rest of the NorCal scene, if you will. You know, like that. It just, you know, kind of, you know, have that sort of bridge, and, you know, to get us ready. Because Brandon, he told me that he had like a talk with Bo back around like late 2020, early 2021 about like, you know, because eventually, they're gonna probably get to the point where they may not want to do this anymore, but they want to make sure the scene is in a good place to where it can still function well even without them. And I think it's a great thing to have, because eventually we may become those big name positions. You never know. And it's like I treat it like sports in a way. It's like you're in a team of transition, if you will. You have like these teams that their star players or whatever, maybe towards like the end of their primes or the end of their careers, they eventually retire or whatnot. The new guys and the new faces of like the franchise, if you will, are gonna step up, or they're gonna come to form. And I just think it's in a similar sort of point right now. That sort of age of like the Evo days and the like the post doc days are gone. Now we're in the metagame age. We're in the slippy / rollback age. We're in the post COVID age.
Yeah,
there's
that's
a lot of new things.
One. Mm-hmm.
It's very new. It's very different. It's so funny to think about is that in a way, I'm now the established vet, when for a long time I was kind of the newer kid. Now I'm kind of I think in more I have to think in more of a veteran mindset, because they never experienced this land stuff. So now like eventually you become a person of influence, and people are gonna look either look up to you. So you have to really think about in the big pictures. Like take what you've learned from the old guard and what you've learned from your experiences, and try to teach it well to the new guard as well. It's just a ton of, it's a beautiful thing, but it's just really crazy, and it's the beauty of it is that we're being able to witness it just right in front of our eyes.
Yeah, it must be passed on, generation to generation. We'll keep going.
Yep.
All I was gonna say is just shout outs to NorCal. That's basically what you just did.
NorCal Melee.
NorCal Melee. Amazing time having you on here. Thanks so much for hanging, Nathan.
Well, thank you for having me, and I hope you have a great rest of your stream as well.
Oh, we will. I will. I gotta. It's funny. I'm actually stopping stream, doing homework, and then going live again. we have some other grinds as well, not just Melee.
I got my college grind as well. I'll probably do the same.
There you go.
But,
all right. Well,
thank you,
everyone. Thanks for tuning in. It was a lovely time. This one's going to be uploaded tomorrow, and the next one is, I believe, at 10 a.m. next Sunday, just normal. So, peace out. Have a wonderful day, chat.